Hello everyone, this is Dr. Bright Keswani and we are learning software engineering fundamentals. In this session, we will discuss about classical sequential software development lifecycle in detail. Uh, Earlier, we had discussed in this under this topic about the feasibility study, and there are uh, various types of feasibility study we had discussed, like technical feasibility, operational feasibility, political feasibility, and economic feasibility. We have already discussed, and we had discussed about feasibility study report also. So in this lecture, we will discuss about requirement analysis, system specification, system and component design, implementation and component testing, system testing, operation and maintenance. Not only this, we will discuss about various types of software life cycle models. There are various types of software life cycle models like build and fix life cycle model, waterfall life cycle model, V-shaped life cycle model, iterative enhancement life cycle model, incremental life cycle model, evolutionary life cycle model, prototyping, Bohem's spiral life cycle model, win-win spiral life cycle model, object-oriented life cycle model, and prototype and object-oriented life cycle models. In this class, we will discuss about only two models, that is build and fix life cycle model and waterfall life cycle model. Okay, let us start with requirement analysis. Uh, In this phase, the requirements of the to be developed software are established, and these are usually the services it will provide, its constants and the goals of the software. Some important activities of this requirement analysis phase includes completing the requirement analysis, uh, ensuring the problem domain area and roughly sketching the components of the target system, and feasibility study of the planned object project, and creating a rough project schedule. So this is a very important activity which is related to the requirement, a clear understanding about the requirement. The outcome of this phase are: first is user requirements, second is project contracts, and thirdly, a rough project schedule. Once these are established, they have to be defined in such a way that they are usable in the next phase. Uh, the next phase is system specification. System specifications are a contract between the client and the software producer. Important activities, although there are various important activities, but in this lecture we will discuss about some of the important activities, like specifying the system is the first activity, compiling the requirement definitions is the second activity, establishing an extract project schedule is the third activity, and validating the software specification is the fourth activity. Justify the economic feasibility of the project is the last activity. So although there are several activities, we had discussed about five activities, major activities, we can say important activities of system specification phase of classical sequential software development lifecycle. The outcome of this phase are requirements definition and exact project schedule. These are the outcomes of system specification. And you can see that in each and every phase, we can get some outputs. Now come to the third phase, that is system and component design. The goal of this phase is to determine which system component will cover which requirement in the system specification, and how these system components will work together. These are the two major goals of system and component design phase. Some important activities you can conduct in this design activity. First is designing system architecture. Secondly, designing the underlying logical data model. Thirdly, designing the algorithm structure of the system components. And lastly, validating the system architecture and algorithm to realize the individual system components. So these are some important activities you have to conduct it when you are going to design a system. Then now what are the outcomes of this phase? There are several outcomes of this phase, like you can get the description of the logical data model, you can get the description of the system architecture, you can get the description of the algorithm structure of the system component, and lastly, documentation of the design decisions. These are the outcomes of system and component design phase. The next phase is implementation and component testing phase. This is the phase where the computer programs are created, and each program is called a unit. You can, as you earlier known, that there are several units consisting within a system, and a system is formed through some modules. Okay, so each program is called as a unit or component, and unit testing is the verification that every unit meets its specification. So the goal of this phase is to transform the products of the design phase into a form that is executable on a computer. Again, there are various activities of this phase. Some of the important activities of this phase includes refining the algorithms for the individual components, then transferring the algorithm into the programming language, that is, we can call it as a coding, then translating the logical data model into a physical one, then compiling and checking the syntactical correctness of the algorithm, and lastly, testing and syntactically and semantically correcting erroneous system components. Okay, so these are the major activities, starting from the refining the algorithm for each individual components and ends with the systematic and semantically correcting error component that possess the errors. Okay, what are the outcomes of this phase? Why this phase is important? This phase provides several outcomes. The first outcome of this phase is program code of the system component. Second is logs of the component test, and thirdly, physical data model. So if you can get the physical data model, you should implement, and unit test should be performed. Then if you want a program code of the system component, then you should implement the system, and logs of the component test are the outcome of this phase. Okay, now we will discuss about system testing. All the units are combined and now the whole is tested. After the combined programs are successfully tested, then the software product is finished. So you should, after the unit test or component test, you should conduct this activity that is called system testing activity. And there are several goals again of this activity. The first goal, testing the mutual effect of system components under conditions close to reality. It is very much important. Then detecting as many errors as possible in the software system. Detecting of errors, complete errors. Okay. And third is ensuring that the system implementation fulfills the system specification. If the system is not developed, if the software is not developed as per the client requirements or as per the client specification, then it has no meaning. Okay, so testing the mutual effects of system component under conditions close to reality is the first goal of this phase. Second phase, detecting as many errors as possible in the software system. And third is ensure that the system implementation fulfills the system specification. Okay, so these are the activities we had discussed: requirement analysis, system specification, system and component designing, implementation and component testing, and unit testing. These all are the SDLC, classical sequential software development lifecycle phases. The last phase of this classical sequential software development lifecycle is operation and maintenance, which is a very much uh, phase of the software development lifecycle, because as we know that software does not wear out, so it after development it will go under the maintenance. Okay, most software products includes this phase of the development, and it involves correcting errors that have gone undetected before, improvements and other forms of support. This stage is part of the life cycle of a software product and not of the strict development, although improvements and fix can still be considered as development. So when we are fixing the errors, when we are finding the errors, after the implementation, after the installation of the software, it is comes under this phase. These steps are the main phases, and there are also sub stages within each stage, but they differ from project to project. For example, for management purposes, the requirements stage is divided in a feasibility study, an outline requirement definition, a system study, and a requirement specification stage. And it is also possible that certain software projects require the adding of an extra stage altogether, or the splitting of one in two stages. Okay, so these are various stages of SDLC. We had discussed detailed discussion about all the phases, and we had discussed about various uh, operations and various activities we have to conduct in these phases. Activities in each phase, when we discuss about the activities in each phase, there are also activities that are performed at every stage of the software development, and these activities are documentation, these activities are verification, these activities are management. So these are the three other activities like documentation, verification, and management activities are also important. Documentation of the in the documentation activity, or in the documentation activity, you can document, you can write all the procedures, all the activities, all the sample data, all the instructions, and all the execution purpose, all the purpose of the software, all the outputs, proposed output. You should document it. Okay, which is for documentation, always for future reference. Okay, verification is not only part of implementation and unit testing and system testing, but it is also part of the of all the other phases in the form of walkthroughs, like reviews, and uh, other activities also. So verification of each and activity is very much important. Then lastly, the management involves the tailoring of the software development lifecycle to fit individual processes, managing the human resources, and managing the rules and the protocols on how the output is formalized. So management is also an important management also plays an important role. Like management provides you the fund, management provides you the human resource, not only provide you the human resource for development of software, it provides, it manage also the human resource and provide you the rules and regulations. He will decide, he will decide the protocols and the type of output. Uh, uh, he can ensure that type of output. He will provide you the view about the output, and he will ensure the formalization of output. Finally, it has to be noted that the software development process is not as linear as it seems. When errors in later stages are found, they are often feedback to a previous stage, and the development is set back to that stage again. So we had a very detailed discussion about various activities performed during the uh, software development life cycle. Now we will discuss about the types of software lifecycle models. As I said earlier, that there are several type of models available, lifecycle models and methodologies available. But all the phases of classical lifecycle model, all the phases, each and every model should possess each and every model of lifecycle model possess the standard phases classical discussed in the classical life cycle, but the working of these models are something somehow different. In fact, the term software lifecycle is not even agreed upon, which with software process begins at least one alternative term. However, most software development life cycles are phased processes with clearly identifiable goals, milestones, and tasks, and there exists no general agreement on which phases should be included in a software lifecycle or the order in which they occur. So these are some types of development life cycles: build and fix life cycle model, waterfall life cycle model, V-shaped life cycle model, iterative enhancement life cycle model, incremental life cycle model, evolutionary life cycle model, prototyping life cycle model, Bohm's spiral life cycle model, win-win spiral life cycle model, object-oriented life cycle model, and prototyping and object-oriented life cycle model. So in the next slide, we will discuss about, in today's lecture, we will discuss about only two models, that is build and fix life cycle model and waterfall life cycle model. So first of all, we will discuss about the build and fix lifecycle model, and also we will discuss about its limitations also. So uh, this is the build and fix lifecycle model. You can see in this slide, this is the build and fix lifecycle model, and yeah, this is also known as an ad hoc model, and this is the original and probably most widely used software lifecycle model, or you can say process model, and it is unfortunate that many software products are developed using what might be termed as the build and fix approach. The software is developed without first addressing specification or design. Instead, the developers simply build a product that is reworked as many times as necessary until it satisfies its clients. So instead of the build and fix approach, it is essential that before development of a product begins, an overall process model be chosen. The process model specify the various phases of the software process, such as the requirement, specifications, plannings, design, implementation, integration, and maintenance phases, and in order in which they are to be carried out. Once the process model has been agreed to by all parties concerned, development of the product can begin. So until early 1980s, the waterfall model was the only widely acceptable model. There are some limitations of this buy and fix lifecycle model. uh, you can see the buy and fix model in the figure. This is the build first version. Modify until user is satisfied. It will modify that it is suggested. This model suggested that uh, modify the first version till the user is satisfied and use it. And if the user is not satisfied, then again use it, build it, rebuild it again till the user satisfied. So final product, you can use the final product. If user is satisfied, then use it. If he is not satisfied, then modify it until the user is satisfied. This is the basic idea about build and fix lifecycle model. There are some limitations also of this lifecycle model. This approach may work well on problems having about 100 or 200 lines long, but is totally unsatisfactory for products of any reasonable size. So you cannot use it when your uh, product size is too big. Secondly, the cost of this model is unexpectable high if the specifications are drawn up and design carefully developed. So the cost of this model is very high, is the second limitation of this model. Third limitation is related to the maintenance. So maintenance of software product is extremely difficult in the absence of a specification or design document, because this model not provides the specification or design document. The next limitation is chances of a regression fault occurring on are considerable high. So chances of fault is considerable high in this adoption of this model. So it is a very big limitation of this model. The cost of this process model is actually far greater in comparison of the cost of a properly specified and designed project. So as per cost is concerned, as per the changes, as per the chances of fault is concerned, as per the maintenance part is concerned, as per the problem size is concerned, there are some limitations with this build and fix lifecycle model. So, as there are several limitations, we will discuss the next model, which is waterfall model. Waterfall model is a very much important model which is produced in 1970 by Winston, and it is a model commonly used for software development. The waterfall model is the engineering model designed to apply to the development of software, and the basic idea is to develop uh, the software, the waterfall life cycle model is that there are different stages to the development, and the output of the first stage flow into the second stage, and these outputs flow into the third stage, and so on. So this is the basic idea about the original waterfall life cycle, that each stage has produced some output, and it the output of uh, one stage goes to the output in the second stage. Okay, so this is the basic idea, and this kind of flow is going on to one to another stage. So there are two variations of waterfall life cycle, we can say. The first uh, uh, is original waterfall life cycle, which is illustrated in this figure, and this is the second called as modified waterfall life cycle model. So let us discuss uh, both models one by one. First is original waterfall life cycle. This model is also known as classical or conventional or traditional software life cycle model. This model emphasizes that software is developed in sequential phases like analysis, design, code, etc. With established milestones, documents, and reviews at the end of each phase. So there is no overlap of each phase. That is, design cannot begin until analysis is completed. Okay, so whenever analysis completed, the design activity begins. But without the conduction of or completion of analysis activity, the design you cannot start the design activity. This is the basic idea behind the waterfall life cycle model. And the entire scope of the project is as addressed at each phase. It is shown in this illustration, and this model is criticized as being a one-way street with no turning back. This is a one-way street. You can see it in this figure. This is a one-way street and no back is there. No returning back is there. Okay. So it is a traditional waterfall life cycle model. So where once analysis is complete, design can begin. But once design has begun, analysis cannot be re-entered. Okay, this is the idea. That is, the requirements are frozen. This criticism really applies to a predecessor life cycle called the stage wise. Okay, so we can say it as a stage wise development. After the first stage totally completed, you can start the second stage, and the third stage, and the fourth stage, and the fifth stage, and the last stage. But you cannot restart the second stage again, the third stage again, the fourth stage. So, in nut and shell, this is the one-way street with no turning back. Okay, and this is actually the limitation of this original waterfall life cycle. This model is just like a one-way street. Once the phase X is complete, and the next phase Y has started, then there is no provision of going back. Secondly, it lacks overlapping and interaction among phases. Thirdly, the requirements are frozen in this model. So you cannot start, first thing, you cannot start any phase again. When you are in fourth phase, you cannot start third, second, or first phase again. Okay, and the requirements are frozen in this model. You cannot accept further requirements from the client. So these are some limitations of the traditional waterfall life cycle. Next is modified waterfall life cycle. Modified waterfall life cycle. This is the general illustration of waterfall life cycle. What it suggests? It is suggesting, it is like the looks like the waterfall life cycle, but it suggests what? It suggests after the completion of the last phase, you can restart the phase again, previous phase again. So the dotted line shows the feedback. Okay, so feedback is the advantage of this modified waterfall life cycle. The feedback provides you a view, an idea for enhancement in the model. And this modified waterfall life cycle model represents an experience-based refinement of the original waterfall life cycle model. And this model was introduced to overcome the limitations of the original model, which I illustrated in the previous slide. Okay, and the model needed to provide for overlap and feedback between phases. You can see the feedback in dotted line is the feedback you can easily see it in this presented illustration. So to facilitate the So rather than being a simple linear model, it needs to be an iterative model. And to facilitate the completion of goals, milestones, and tasks, it is normal to freeze parts of the development after a certain point of the point in the interaction. And there are some major extensions in the model over the original model. What are these extensions? First extension, major extension is it introduces certain interactions between the phases along with the restrictions of providing interactions if possible only between successive phase in order to reduce the expense of revision that results from iteration over multiple phases. And secondly, the provision for verification and validation of the phase output in the software lifecycle are added. The thirdly, needed to provide for overlap and feedback between phases. So these are some major extensions which is suggested in the waterfall modified waterfall lifecycle. The advantage of this life cycle that it is a much better model for the software process in practice, and also yes, it has also some disadvantages. First is it is harder to manage this model. It is harder to manage this model is a first disadvantage. The second disadvantage is no stage is really finished until the system is no longer in use. Okay, and the third is no clear milestones in the development process. These are some disadvantages of this model, and the only advantage of this model, because this is a better model which is based on the feedback and interaction between the project and the management. Okay, so this is all about today's class, and we had discussed about various things. We had discussed about classical sequential waterfall software development lifecycle, and these are some phases we had discussed. Requirement analysis we had discussed, system specification phase, system and component design phase, implementation and component testing phase, system testing phase, and operation and maintenance phase. Then we had a discussion about types of software lifecycle model, although there are several models, and learning of these models is a time consuming activity. We had in this class we had discussed about build and fix lifecycle model and waterfall lifecycle model with proper illustration. We had discussed about build and fix lifecycle model with with its limitations, and waterfall lifecycle model which is having in two versions. First is original lifecycle waterfall lifecycle model, and second is modified waterfall lifecycle model. Also, we had discussed about their advantages and disadvantages. Now, this is the time for self-assessment, assessment through multiple choice questions. The first question is, if the requirement analysis phase of a software project, software development project is not done properly, then the options are a resulting system would be delivered before time, or output report would be indecipherable, and the system might fail to address the real need of user, and all of these. So the answer is system might fail to address the real need of user, because if the requirement analysis is not performed in a proper done in a proper manner, you cannot expect, you cannot predict the actual requirement of the, you cannot assess the actual requirement of the client. So system might fail to address the real need of the user. Okay. Secondly, in the second question, a system exists because it is designed to achieve one or more one or more what? One or more objectives, or one or more organizations, or one or more subsystems, or none of these. So the answer is objectives. A system exists because it is designed to achieve one or more objectives. Because one is the main objective, and there are several objectives of a system, software system. We can call it as a subsystem, byproducts. The third question is designing and implementing system to build organizational needs are the functions of the system analyst, system programmer, system user, or top management. It is the designing and implementing system is the function of system analyst. So answer is A. The fourth question is, after the installation phase is completed and the user staff is adjusted to changes created by the candidate system, begins. What begins? Begins implementation, or begin database conversion, or begins design, or begin the maintenance. So after the installation phase is complete, the user staff is adjusted to changes created by the candidate system. Changes created by the candidate system means what? The designing, changes in the design. So design phase is begin. Okay. The design is also known as, it is known as blueprint of the system. So the C is the right answer. It is not known as DFD. It is data flow diagram. DFD and DDs are the tools. Organization chart is the tool, but blueprint of the system, design is the blueprint of the system, which is made through the help of these tools. Okay. Then the following term describes both a final system and the process by which it is developed: analysis, design, survey, or testing. So design is the right answer. The design describes both a final system and a process by which it is developed. In the seventh question, the dash is developed during the data flow analysis and assist the analyst involved in determining system requirements. However, it contents are used during system design as well. So what is this? The data flow diagram is developed during the data flow analysis. So this is the right answer. Not data dictionary, not decision tree, or not decision table. Only the data flow diagram is developed during the data flow analysis. Okay. The next question is, the most creative and challenging phase of SDLC is the design. So most creative and challenging phase of the SDLC is design phase. And dash is an employee-based system designed to meet personal or vocational needs and to help in the solution of work-related problems. So informal system is a related, provides you the employee-based system designed to meet personal and vocational needs to help in the work-related problem. The testing is a part of the following activity. Testing is the part of which activity? Not analysis. It is not related to design. It is related to the quality assurance, because you can assure the quality through the testing. So, and none of these. So C is the right option, right answer. Quality assurance is the right answer of this activity. Okay. Now, this is all about today's class. If you have any query, you can refer these books for further knowledge and further to resolve your query. Okay. So now I am going to stop this lecture. Thank you.